Mr. President, Mr. Majority Leader, Madam President Pro Tem, and Assistant Majority Leader Heath. Welcome to all of you today. It's truly an honor to be here at this well where so many important and profound people have spoken and where so many wise words have been given. I also want to echo what President Cadman said earlier in terms of welcoming all of you guests and colleagues here to this day of our 2016 legislative session here at the Colorado General Assembly. I have personally invited several folks. The one that I want to just pay a little homage to is a 9-year-old constituent named Polly, who has a very famous aunt whose last name is Bartles. But Polly, if you will stand, we just want to welcome you here. And thank you. You represent the present, the future, and everything else. When I asked her if she got permission to be here and get out of school, her aunt said she just told me she wasn't going to be there today. I, too, want to pay special tribute to my colleagues who are fulfilling the final legislative session of their terms. I know that the President recognized you as well. Let us not see them, colleagues, as lame ducks, but rather as senators of great wisdom and experience who will join with the rest of us to work hard for the people of Colorado. Their knowledge, their passion and experience is that which we should seek out during these forthcoming days and months. I'd like to just very quickly recognize, because you are my personal colleagues, and I've been very, very honored to work with you. Senator President Bill Cadman, Senate Majority Leader Mark Scheffel, Assistant Minority Leader Raleigh Heath, Senator Mary Hodge, Senator Michael Johnston, Senator Pat Stedman, Senator Linda Newell, and Senator Morgan Carroll. Would you members please join me again in giving them a warm, warm applause. Thank you. Today I'm privileged to deliver this message on behalf of the Senate minority. I'm privileged to be the minority leader. You know, I have a lot of friends and colleagues who have said, you can't be the minority leader, you got to be mean, you got to get mad at times, you've got to be forceful. And for some of you who haven't experienced that yet, I do have some of those characteristics. But I will be working very closely with Senator Scheffel, the Majority Leader. And so, Majority Leader Scheffel, I want to give you some heads up. Just one moment. When you see this coming out, and when you see me do this, you will know that I'm getting upset. And you have the same personality. People say that about you too, so I brought you one of these. I have to get my hair back. But I am privileged to be the minority leader. You know, we are 17 members, and you are 18. We know that being in the minority means that you have the vote, but we have a big voice. All of us, though, together, 35 of us, have Colorado in common. But we all know that we have severe differences in how we think about getting to a stronger state. We 35 senators share this hallowed chamber, and it is hallowed if you think about all of the decisions that have been made in this chamber since it opened. We share this hallowed chamber at a time when extremism and heated debates over what is right and what is wrong dominate our discourse. But we are not elected ethicists seeking to define right from wrong. Each and every one of us has been elected to bring forth a system of laws which guarantee an equal and fair opportunity for all Coloradans, a fair opportunity to be safe from harm, to be secure in our homes, to get a quality education, to have access to quality and sufficient health care. And there's so much, much more. A fair opportunity to build a good today for a better tomorrow. We on this side often hear that we Democrats are the party of handouts. But my response to that is wanting everyone to have a fair opportunity to build a foundation for their dreams to come true is hardly a handout. Many of you know that I lived with a foster family for several years. Following my high school graduation and coming from my family of poverty, as many of you did, I did not have any idea of how to go to college. My members of my class all went to college, but I didn't. I wanted to, but I had no idea, not the faintest idea, of how to make that dream come true. One day, my foster mother, God rest her soul, took me to the local bank, Katy National Bank. I said, "What are we doing going to the bank?" And she said, "We're going to get you a college loan." I had no idea of what she was talking about. She sat there in that big chair alongside of me, and she co-signed a loan. It was something I didn't know about, co-signing loans. But my responsibility was that I was to work hard, work during college, and work in the summer and pay the loan back by the following August so that I could get another loan for the next year. Of course, being as young as I am, it didn't cost as much to go to college then. But my foster parents did not give me a handout. They never gave me a handout in all the years that I lived with them. By taking me to the bank and co-signing a loan, they taught me about a system that worked for me and a system that should work for everyone. By co-signing those loans, they gave me the opportunity to reach my potential. But reaching my potential was my duty and not theirs. That's what I see for our work here in the General Assembly. Our legislative efforts should always be an extension of the opportunity for every Coloradan to achieve their dreams. We are not the party of handouts. We are the minority, but we are not the party of handouts. We are instead a party that believes that everyone should have the opportunity to fulfill their dreams with the same tools to success available for all, not just a few. Over the past few months, many of you know this because you've gone with me or I've seen you there, I've visited several communities across this great state of Colorado. And those communities reflect this principle as well. I have driven to the west, to the east, to the south, and to the north. I've crossed the Rio Grande, the Arkansas, the Gunnison, the North and the South Platte, the Crystal, the Yampa, the Green, the Eagle, and the Colorado rivers. And I've been at Fountain and Gore Creek. I've had the opportunity to join fellow senators on several of these trips and have witnessed the beauty of our lands and communities. I milked a lamb in Paonia. Never thought about milking a lamb before, but they do that there and then they make good cheese. I visited a fish hatchery in Steamboat. I learned how to irrigate a cornfield by hand with that long, slender thing that I should have brought here today. And I saw firsthand the devastation the flooded Fountain Creek did to the Frost Ranch. When I visited the Colorado Malting Company in Alamosa, Colorado, I had the chance to learn about their proud history as a farming family. The family has owned that land and operated their farm for decades. Fueled by the entrepreneurial spirit we take pride in here in Colorado, they have built an incredibly successful farm and company that supplies the grains for distilleries and breweries across our state. They are a true Colorado success story. They specialize in San Luis Valley rye, a grain that A.D. Laws use, and the president of A.D. Laws is my guest today. He owns the A.D. Laws distillery here in Denver, and he chose this and still uses this San Luis Valley grain for his whiskey. And thank you for being here, and I want to tell you, it's good whiskey. What I loved about that trip when I visited A.D. Laws and he told me about where this grain came from, I said, I'm going to go down there. I'm headed to southern Colorado. I want to connect the rural to the urban. I want to connect what those farmers do to help supply the businesses and the smaller businesses in Colorado. I learned what they deal with on a daily basis, and one member of the family explained how a business like theirs is impacted by a number of issues like population loss and issues about water. Jason there told me how the farmers using water from the Arkansas River have lost much of their ability to raise crops due to a combination of drought and water being diverted to supply this growing metropolitan area that we are in today. These concerns are also shared by folks living in the lower Arkansas Valley. I came into this Senate, I was elected in 2010, and since 2010, the lower Arkansas Valley has lost over 1,500 residents. Since 2011, nearly 700 jobs have been lost. With the water drying up, they fear for their way of life. The concerns over water for them, which can be found throughout Colorado, are exactly why the historic water plan introduced late last year has been so important. The water plan has been a significant endeavor that brought together voices from all across Colorado and set potential benchmarks to lead us to a sustainable water future. We must appreciate their hard work so the people can implement the water plan over many years to come. There is so much you can learn here in our policy briefing books and so forth, but there's so much more you can learn by leaving this metropolitan area and going to some of those areas. As a senator that represents Denver, visits like these were truly impactful as they gave me a first-hand glance at the rich entrepreneurial spirit of our state, but also how very real issues like water shortages and population growth can impact communities outside our metropolitan area. They need us from this area to listen, to remember their dreams, and to understand that the way we do business here in this capital impacts them. I've learned a great many things as I've gone around the state. There's frustration with a growing economy that isn't delivering a growing income for many people, like the waitress in Littleton, Colorado, and like the rancher in southern Colorado. There's anger at a political system that bends towards partisanship over justice. And there's anxiety caused by a system that rewards the wealthy and well-connected over a hardworking middle-class family. More powerful than the frustration and anger and anxiety, though, is a hunger for common-sense solutions. We heard the President speak on this today, our President. I just want to make sure that you weren't thinking that I was talking about President Obama. I mean, more. Okay. Those seeking policies that take us backwards will not find satisfaction in our minorities' legislative priorities, because our priorities seek to provide opportunities for success for every Coloradan throughout the state. As far as priorities go, if a budget is to reflect our values, then our budget must be our number one responsibility. Our priorities are composed of bills that concern the needs of our people, from affordable housing to financial support for rural areas, to making government more transparent, to supporting access to higher education. But how can we expect any parts of our priorities or your priorities to be, how can we expect them to be implemented if we do not address our budget crisis that we have here this year? To emphasize what I mean, I want to draw from the Grand Junction Daily Sentinel's editorial on this past New Year's Day. Borrowing from Republican President Theodore Roosevelt, the Sentinel's editorial board said Grand Junction needs to dare greatly. They were trying to talk about the future movement of that city and its leaders. Dare greatly, that in order for their community to reach its vast potential, the people and their leaders need to dare greatly. I believe that's what we should do here regarding our state budget. Dare greatly. Let's dare to go beyond the status quo and pass a balanced budget that reflects the values of all Coloradans. From ensuring our transportation infrastructure is not only maintained, but to make sure that it can be improved, we must resolve our budget crisis. From making sure every child has the same access to high-quality education to reducing the overall cost of higher education, we must resolve the budget crisis. From preserving our natural environment to ensuring access to affordable health care, we must reserve our budget crisis this year or risk losing Colorado's identity as a state of promise. We are a state of beautiful lands, entrepreneurial spirit, and agricultural leadership, and a way of life that draws so many to come here to Colorado to do business or just to live and enjoy this wonderful area. We risk losing that. Let's dare to come together to ensure that that does not happen. Creating an economy that works for those who work hard, regardless of their background, means making sure that everyone has access to the same tools, such as sufficient high-speed broadband services. I would like to read an email very quickly from a friend I met in Hotchkiss, Colorado. His name is Wink Davis. He owns Mesa Winds Farm and Winery. I quote, "Senator, a few months ago you inquired about the quality of service here in the Norfolk Valley. At that time I replied that it is slow, but doesn't seem to interfere with our business uses. But in the last month or two we've noticed a significant loss of capacity and quality at all times of the day. The service is very slow, and it is usually not feasible to stream content without frequent interruptions. We feel the North Fork Valley is being left behind. Anything the state can do to encourage a faster and improved implementation of broadband would be very appreciated." Unquote. I take a huge interest in broadband. It's unacceptable that in 2016, an entrepreneur in Delta County could be forced to drive for nearly an hour to reach internet service that allows him to promote his online business and compete with his metropolitan counterparts. It's unacceptable that in 2016, constituents that live hours away from the nearest hospital don't have access to the growing delivery of care through telemedicine simply due to a lack of sufficient internet service. And it's unacceptable that in 2016, rural schools are disadvantaged by a lack of adequate broadband, which prevents our young students' minds from being enriched by high-quality educational tools provided by today's modern internet. I'm eager to work with you, my colleagues across the aisle, and with the governor, and with whom else, in sending a clear message to rural Colorado. You will not be left behind by your government, and we will fight tooth and nail to ensure that we break down the barriers to success so opportunity is available in every corner of our state for our hospitals, our schools, our businesses, our agriculture, and tourism. I was very excited to spend the day at Adams State University, a beautiful, phenomenal campus. It's a state treasure. According to our state's Department of Higher Education, Adams State University, according to the budget that has been put forth by the governor, Adams State will lose $273,344 from their budget under the proposed 2016 state budget. The school is surviving, however. The campus is a state treasure. They appreciate the support that the state has given them in the years past, and they support and value their students. This is a university, even though they are losing money and going to lose more, they voted to provide something called guaranteed tuition, meaning that tuition paid by an incoming student will remain the same throughout their 4 years of college. They are not increasing their interest on the backs of the students. This session, we have an opportunity to support those students who are not as fortunate to have predictable tuition by passing Know Before You Owe legislation, making sure that private lenders are providing hopeful students with pertinent information about their loan, helps students focus on their education, and less on navigating mysterious fees and charges. And just as important as leveling the playing field for Colorado students, we have a responsibility to make sure workers have opportunities to learn the skills to succeed in a rapidly changing economy. Workers in Colorado facing massive job loss in their communities, from a coal mine shutting down in rural area, or a grocery store being forced to close in a small town, should have the state's support to learn new skills and diversify their local economy with a renewed spirit and confidence. Passing the Rural Economic Development Program bill will support those communities and ensure they are preserved in times of economic emergencies. Local communities should have the power also to raise their own minimum wages to reflect the diverse needs of their cities and counties and build more prosperous communities throughout our state. This should be a local control opportunity. Additionally, a woman doing the same job as a man deserves the opportunity to earn the same pay. This is no longer just an issue of women's rights and equality. It's an issue of family rights, because women are such a growing share of breadwinners in Colorado. My mother was, many of your mothers were, many of your mothers are today, and many of you are. They deserve the same opportunity to support their families and make their dreams come true as everyone else. As we begin to embrace an economy that's constantly evolving, it's important to note that in the past, our prosperity as a people was largely built upon an organized labor force operating at unprecedented productivity with wages that reflected the work. Building a more prosperous workforce that can weather personal financial disaster, as many hardworking Coloradans should be able to do, is an important goal and can be shared by supporters and opponents of unions alike. Everyone deserves a level playing field to succeed. We know that the economic recovery that we have been experiencing could not have been possible without our small businesses. Whether it's groundbreaking ideas through renewable energy or agritourism promoting a winery, small businesses have helped us lead us through the challenging and devastating recession. We need to always ensure, especially this coming session, that small businesses, and not just their bigger brother businesses, have the tools they need to thrive in Colorado. We should be proud of our willingness to stand up for the small business that thrives due to our natural environment and for our $18 billion tourism economy. And we should proudly advocate for the quality of our air and water and our quality way of life here in Colorado. Colorado is a leader in the world for having taken the necessary steps to halt a changing climate in its path and to ensure that our public lands, our environment, and our way of life is available for generations to come. As the world transitions to cleaner sources of energy, our coal workers must not be forgotten, for they are the holder of some of the hardest to learn and most important skills to utilize. Skills that result in our homes being heated and our cars taking us to work, home, and everywhere else in between. We must remember those workers. Those of us who truly support, and we do, our movement to more renewable energy, we need to understand the impact of those who work in fields that might have to shut down. It is our responsibility to understand that they are part of us and we are part of them. Those communities are part of us as well. We must also do more to prepare our existing energy workforce for future transitions so we can move forward boldly and with purpose for our environment and our economy. Just as important is ensuring Coloradans have access to quality, affordable health care so they can be healthy and enjoy our quality way of life. Thanks to the bipartisan efforts of this legislature, Colorado's uninsured rates has gone from 14.3% in 2013 to 6.7% in 2015, an unprecedented drop, and the fifth largest drop in the nation. While the Affordable Care Act is not perfect, that means more Coloradans, though, are getting preventive care, protecting themselves from costly visits to the emergency room. Even more impressive as I studied this, out of the Coloradans on Medicare, 74% are working families. They are not receiving just a handout. They are working families. They are seeking opportunities to continue forward. We must stand up for forward-looking solutions that ensure women are able to make their own health care decisions. Programs like LARC, which has been tremendously successful in bringing down the teen pregnancy rate by 40% and teen abortion rates by 35%. We need to adequately fund LARC so we can continue this remarkable progress. We also need to address Colorado's alarmingly high suicide rate. In 2014, more than 1,000 Coloradans took their own lives. It's the most in our state history. Suicide is very, very it's here, and it's growing. Our vets, our veterans, people in Colorado are suffering, whether they're young people, teenagers. We have members in this gallery, in this chamber, former members. I went to a service this past summer when our colleague, Senator Trop, was at the service of her grandson who took his life. Suicide in this country and in this state is very serious. We should do everything we can. We have a bill coming through that hopefully will expand suicide prevention training, but we need to do everything we can, and especially not forget our veterans. One of the things that make Colorado so unique and exceptional is the work ethic and entrepreneurial spirit of its people. Coloradans take care of their businesses and their communities. They do not expect handouts from their state government, nor do they want them. What they do expect and want from us is to listen when they have a concern and take every step we can to ensure their people have as fair opportunity to live a good life as everyone else. The people of Pueblo, Colorado, did not ask for a handout when they were wanting to help their Southwest chief last year. They didn't ask for a handout, they asked for an opportunity. So they went ahead. They've gone on with the help of their people and their leaders. They have done the good work. The people of Hugo, Colorado don't want a handout, but they do want help in recruiting teachers so they can ensure that their kids have a great education. Our troops, our Colorado veterans who return from risking their lives to defend our country, do not want or seek a handout. What they want upon their return is for their state government to approve legislation that will give them the opportunity to re-enter the workforce, to complete their education, or have access to the tools so they can lead healthy lives and live them here at home. Supporting these items isn't voting for handouts. It's voting for opportunity for everyone. In closing, I would like to share a meaningful and personal childhood experience. When I was a little girl, I was not always safe from harm. And on those nights when I was most unsafe, I would escape from our house and head across the field to where the cows were huddled. I worked my way through the barbed wire fence, which was not always very easy. I worked my way through that barbed wire fence in as careful a way as I could, because I couldn't always see, it was dark. I wanted to reach where the cows were. I thought I would be safe there. They never minded my approach. And I was able to get myself in the center of their circle where they were lying down. And I laid down there with these cows. And I remember, I was about eight or nine, I laid my head on one of their stomachs. They really do make funny noises. I laid my head on their stomach, and I was laying there. My anxiety and my fear somehow melted away for a while. Because as I looked up into the sky, and there were big, bright stars, upon those stars, even a little girl, I could feel peace and safety. I don't know what gave that to me, but the power of that star and all of that Milky Way experience, I could feel I could dream of a safe place. And I fell asleep having a nice dream about tomorrow. That was 62 years ago. I almost said I was 62 then, but that was 62 years ago. And you know, those same stars, as I've gone back home to Katy, Texas, that field is no longer there. It's now developed. But I've gone back there on many occasions. And the same stars at night still shine brightly. In my travels across the state, whether I was in Alamosa, I got up one morning a couple of weeks ago and got up at 4 and deliberately walked outside. I wanted to see the stars again. I saw the stars in the San Luis Valley, and I realized they are the same stars shining in the Gunnison Valley. We were on the Red Sea one December, and the stars that were shining that night on the Red Sea are the same stars that shine here in this country, though it might be 10 hours difference. The stars that shine in Sterling, in Lyons, and here in Denver, they all represent the dreams so many of us have. They represented a dream for me then of a better tomorrow, of a place where I could be safe. And though we here in this esteemed chamber come from very different walks of life and different parts of this wonderful state, we are privileged to live under the same stars. It often comes to mind, that song or that poem, "When you look upon a star, makes no difference who you are, anything your heart desires." I expect we each look up at those stars and we dream of similar dreams for a better tomorrow. Each of us wants to perform our duties of our office with integrity and hope for a better tomorrow. I know that's what each of you want, and I know that's what we want. We just have different beliefs about how we get there. I think we can be proud that we give it our all, whether we have the vote or whether we have the voice. Let's give it all. Coloradans want nothing less. Thank you very much.